What's up, my mental health, the New Wealth family? It's your girl, Nikita Nicole, the Illuminist, and I am so very excited that you decided to join me for yet another Friday. I know you have so many options when it comes to podcasts, and I'm just so grateful and appreciative that you decide to give this podcast a listen each and every Friday. I hope that it has been able to enrich your life and give you tools for optimal living. Today, we're going to add to the relationship series. As this past week, I have had an epiphany and some healing myself. Through this experience in healing, I was not able to help to heal myself, but to shine light and help others as well. So I decided to bring it to you guys this Friday for Mental Health, the New Wealth. Now, I have been advertising Anchor, encouraging you to come up with your great content for amazing podcast. So I decided to put Anchor to the test to show you that you don't need any fancy equipment. You can record your podcast directly from your phone, which is what I am doing today. It was important for me to get this out of my soul and onto this recording for you guys here on this Friday. Hopefully, you will be able to continue to get information and things that will help you heal and enrich your life for optimal living from this episode. The relationships that we have with our parents is not only the main relationship that cultivates who we are today. Our relationship with our siblings and our family members also play a major part in how we commune and deal with others and see the world. This past week has taught me so much, and I'm excited to share it with you all. So sit back, relax, and let's get into this episode.
And not that either.
Hey y'all, hey, thank you for joining me on another episode. Today we are adding to the relationship series. This past week, I hardly ever am on social media, believe it or not. I really cringe when I have to update my account or be active on certain pages online. But I went ahead and went over to Facebook to check out old messages or whatever have you. And while I was there, I was prompted to click on this live, and this live was a particular person that I have been following for some time, and I knew in passing in the industry, and she was very distraught, and she was crying about the relationship that she had with her family, or better yet, the relationship that she did not have with her family. She went on to say that it really hurt her because she ended up seeing online that someone got married and the family did not inform her and let her know. Someone graduated and the family did not let her know. So she was not able to be in attendance and celebrate with her family in the way that she wanted to because they didn't think enough of her to let her know. And then so she went on to vent about how she felt in the family. She touched on a little bit about how she grew up and how she felt about those experiences as she grew up. And she really just had a major purging session online. And so after I saw that, it almost brought me to tears because I really empathize with some of the things that she was saying. And I really felt prompted to make this episode today about family trauma, because family trauma is really, really real. A lot of us push forward and we push it down and not really try to pay attention to the things that family trauma has done, not only to ourselves, but how it has showed up in our lives. But we have to open up and shed some light about this thing, because if not, we will be prompted like this person did to go online and share it with strangers. Regardless of how you feel, if you continue to push it down, it's going to come out one way or another. And a lot of times, if you suppress your emotions and the way that you feel or past experiences, They can come out in outbursts or negative reactions, or they can turn into dis-ease and illness in your body. They can turn into cancer and other things that will be hard for you to get rid of because you have been holding these feelings, these grudges in your heart. And so as I looked at her, and I'm telling you, y'all, it was like a good 25, 30 minutes to where it was almost like she was finished. And then she was like, and another thing, and another thing. And it really was, she was pouring out. She was crying. She was letting the family know that she was going to be making some decisions about how she was going to move forward. She spoke on how she felt that she was being used by the family and how they disregarded her and did not treat her well. So it really made me think of some of the things that I have dealt with in my life regarding my family. And so after I finished looking at her live, I was prompted to really think about my life and my family because it was so emotional and it was so touching the way that she was transparent online, but you can tell that she just could not take it anymore. And so I really thought about my life and some of the traumas and things that I have had to deal with, and I'll share a little bit of that with you guys as transparency for me and healing and background to what I'm speaking of so far as my healing this week and the revelation that I came to. So I was born my mother's only child. I have several siblings on my father's side. For a majority of my early life, I did not have a direct relationship with my father. I went to go see him weekends here and there, but for the most part, he was kind of hit or miss until I got older and I had to go stay with him. I am a grandfather's baby. Rest in peace, Burtis Whitaker. His birthday is May 23rd, and we big up him every year. He has passed on now for about 3 years, but I am a grandfather's baby. And so that is where I got examples of what a man is and how a man operates, regardless of his alcoholism, regardless of his womanizing. He gave me my first examples of what a man is, what a provider is, and those type of things. On my grandmother's side, I also have 3 aunts and 1 uncle. And then on my grandfather's side, I have several aunts and uncles, but I never really had a relationship with them as majority of them were in the South or spread all around. But in my vicinity, I was used to my 3 aunts and my uncle. And so as growing up, I remember playing with my cousins. I remember every now and then going over to my dad's house and playing with my cousins and my brothers over there. And that was my life for a while. And then I moved around a lot because it was important for my mom to make sure that I was in the best schools. And I just really, looking back, appreciate her for that because she could have made it to where I just went to whatever school I was supposed to go to. But because she wanted for me to excel, she always, pressed academia and always made sure that I was in the best schools, even though I was not always the best student and I would rebel. But I remember having estranged relationships with my aunts and my uncle. I remember that they were there, but they weren't always present. And so I remember having relationships with them only because we lived with them, right? And then as we moved and everyone kind of spread out, because everyone at one point was at my grandfather's house. That was the family home in West Oakland on 14th and Adeline. That's just what it was. We all were there. But once we spread out and families became more independent, my mom would make sure that I would go to visit my cousins, and spend time with them. But there was at one point when she decided that she no longer wanted to be the catalyst to keep the family together. She no longer wanted to be the one to always and go and visit her siblings, and she wanted them to take the initiative to come see her. And when she stopped doing that, I lost basically the relationship that I had with my aunts and my cousins. Now, they no longer came over to the house. We no longer had play dates and things of that nature. But me and my cousins over the years, my cousins on my grandmother's side, we stayed in contact here and there because then I got old enough to do things myself and moved around a little bit. And then by this time, I was no longer in Oakland. I was living in Hayward. I was going to a totally different school. So me going back and forth to see my dad was not happening. And even in that family setting, with my father, my stepmom, my siblings, and my cousins, me and my cousin there was very close, but there was always like a thing. You always knew that you were a step something. You know what I mean? So I just always felt like I didn't quite belong. So as I grew older and pushed forward, we later became aware that we were invited to certain events and certain things of that nature, but for whatever reason, my grandmother would not make sure that we got the invitation, or she would say that we were not able to make it, or invites were not extended, period. So as I got older, there was always this loner feeling. There's always this black sheep feeling. I was always thought to be the first one to be pregnant and to live this wild lifestyle, when in fact, out of my cousins on my grandmother's side, I was the first to have entrepreneurship. I was the first to own a business. And so there was a lot of things that I went through as a child and kind of learned about family and what family should be and what family is not as I grew up. And then so some of those family traumas came into fruition as I got older, when I understood to know that my grandmother's relationship with me was predicated on not having a relationship with my mother. And I say that to say that when my mom came back into the situation, it became estranged to where my grandmother would no longer talk to me. So therein, I saw some family trauma that extended over into my life because I never really had a relationship with my grandmother, for the fact that my grandmother never really cared for my mother for whatever reason that was. And so not having a relationship with aunts that could have given me knowledge and information, not really having a connection with my uncle, and that's a whole nother story. Not really knowing a lot of people from my grandfather's side of the family, because a lot of them were living in the South or were a lot older. And then on my father's end, having the feeling of being a stepdaughter, a stepsister. The person that I was closest to was my older cousin, which was my stepmom's niece. We were thick as thieves, but as time went on, that was dissolved as well. And so as a 39-year-old really looking into my life, it was like, wow, damn, I don't have no family either. And not really having a whole lot of people to talk to that are directly in my family, I came to the epiphany. And I was like, why is it that I don't feel as sad or sorrowful as this woman was online? We had a lot of the same similarities. She was in the beauty industry, so am I. And so a lot of what she said was resonating because in the beauty industry, we create the family that we have through clientele. A lot of the people that we do are not just our clients, they become our family. And so I have developed connections, some lifelong connections with people that I have selected to be in my family or my soul tribe. And so they are not blood, but they are family to me. Another thing that I thought of as to why I maybe don't feel as sad as she did was because you can't miss something that you never had. So I know that I felt that hers was more so coming from saying that it was a shame that her family is not as close as it should have been. But You can't never really miss something that was never there. You know how you in a family or you around somebody, but you kind of always know that they don't fuck with you like that? When you grow up feeling that feeling, when you grow up feeling that you are expendable, when you grow up feeling that you're never really apart, then it doesn't really hurt you so much as you grow up and those things separate and fall apart. Now, it did hurt me in my youth as I was no longer able to see my cousins as often. We didn't have play dates, and some of that part I did not understand. But as I grew up, I just felt like that's the way things were. Family don't be familying like that. And so that's where I developed some of my abandonment issues. That's where I developed some of my detachment issues. That's where I developed a lot of trauma that I experienced from the relationships that I did or did not have with family members. Making it be clear and understanding that I was only allowing you to be a part of the family as long as you were doing what I needed you to do, as long as I can utilize your resources, as long as I had you in my pocket, then you are in the family. But when you take your veil off and you start to see things happening in the family, when you start to acknowledge generational curses, when you start to look at trauma and different things as something that you don't want to deal with, then you're no longer accepted. And don't get me wrong, there were a lot of part that I played in the separation of me and certain individuals in my family. However, going through my own healing, I have discovered, and I'm telling you today also, if you are the black sheep, if you are someone that is in the family that feels like you are expendable, that your family uses and abuses you, or simply you don't want to continue with generational patterns that you know will not allow you to grow and flourish, that it is okay to separate from blood. For a lot of people and a lot of family members, the day of thanks, or what people call Thanksgiving or holidays, is the worst days for some people that have heavy levels of trauma because they have to come face to face with the people that they have unresolved issues with the people that have used and abused them, with the people that have hurt them. Year after year, you have to come and sit with these people with unacknowledged trauma and hurt. And you have to sit around sometimes with people who know they have done things to you, or they have hurt you, or you have been abused mentally, physically, spiritually, and no one has made atonement for those wrongdoings to you. And so for those of you who are quote unquote black sheeps of the family, or you're the outcast, or you're the oddball out because you're different, I just wanted to encourage you and let you know that you are loved. Continue to break generational curses. Continue to push forward. You don't have to act out. You don't have to explain to family why it is you choose your peace over having relationships with them. And then if you are in a family dynamic to where they have just thrown you to the side, much like this lady that spoke her heart on social media, they don't invite you to things. They don't let you know that things are happening. It is okay. Be grateful that you have the opportunity to not be involved in traumatic situations, to not have to be involved with, not be involved with toxic people. Don't feel guilty for wanting better for yourself. Don't feel guilty for wanting to break and move from generational curses. These things can and will stop with you, but you have to make that decision first. It's okay if you're the different one in the family. Continue to do that. It's okay if they're like, oh, she funny acting. You can call it whatever you want to. I call it protecting my peace. I'll call it not enrolling myself in drama, especially once I have removed myself. I'm not about to get back into no drama, whether it's family, friend, foe, or peer. I'm not about to deal with it. I'm not the one or the two. And because I am the only child, I have just developed an understanding that you choose your family, blood or not. You choose your friends. You choose the people that you want to be around and cultivate life with. You have the opportunity to choose the life that you want, to choose the family that you want, to choose the mate that you want. You have the opportunity to do that. You don't deserve to be around people that keep mess going or always want to use you or always want to get the most from you, but not reciprocate the efforts in return, to always push forward and make you feel like you're the odd person out, to always be the butt of jokes, to always be told last of the things that are happening in your family. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to subscribe to that way of life, and you can change that. You have the opportunity to change that. And if you are hurt, like the woman that was on social media bearing her heart, I pray that you are able to find healing in your experience in knowing that you and the connection that you have with the Most High God, the divine, the creator of all and everything that we experience on an everyday basis, is the only relationship that you need to make sure that is solid, because that is the only relationship that is tried and true. I'm not saying to go around walking around discouraged as if everyone is going to leave you. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying to cultivate a relationship to where you are okay with being by yourself. Cultivate a relationship to where you maintain a standard that those around you and those that you choose to deal with will treat you at a certain standard. And if they cannot meet that bar, that you are okay with going on in your life without their presence. You don't have to have no space fillers. You don't have to be involved with time passers in family, relationships, or friendships. If you don't feel good in a relationship, then discontinue it immediately. And it is just that simple. I don't care if you my blood. Too many infractions and I'm going to have to let you go. And that's vice versa. I'm pretty sure I had too many infractions with other people and they decided that they had to let me go. But I tell you what, like I said before, God's redirection is my protection. Anybody that I was allowed to walk out of your life, to be removed out of your life, to step out of your life, even if it was the person that gave you life, that brought you into this world, if they do not bring you peace, if they do not honor you, if they do not acknowledge the things that they have done to cause you trauma and are sorrowful and help you to move forward and try to figure out how they can help heal those parts of yourself, those parts of your life that they contributed to, then thank you for allowing me to be here, but our journey goes no further. And in this life, you must understand that at times, the assignment that you have here in this moment on this earth at this time does not require you to have a lot of attachments. So you'll wonder why you never really have family. You never really gained attachments. You never really got married. You never really had children, because your job is to love on the people that come in your life. Sometimes they may stay and sometimes they may go. Your job is to feed and give to those that are in your life, understanding that you have to keep your attachments and your energy to a certain level so that you are able to pour into others' lives. Some of us are flowers that stay stationary and we shine and are beautiful from where we are. But some of us also are butterflies and we travel and we move around and we go from area to area to come back to tell the flowers how the world is, the things that they can do, the things that they can strive for and push forward to. So don't feel bad if that happens to be your assignment. Don't feel bad if you just notice that you have never had these attachments. This doesn't mean that you can't love, you can't have long-lasting relationships in your life. It just means that because your job is to shine light to the people that you are around, you are not a fixture, you are an element. You move to and fro and are not stationary like some family settings, some friendships, some things of that nature. You just move around and able to shine your light onto all that you meet. So if that is your life assignment and you find yourself not being able to do the things and have the relationships that you want, I beg you to consider that that might be the case. Your job is to share and empty yourself out to those who are blessed to be in your presence, those that come into your life for a reason, season, or lifetime. And when you took this earthly assignment, Divine Spirit knew that if you had a husband, if you had a wife, if you have children, if you have this big family unit, it might be hard for you to carry out the assignment that you are here to do because your attention and energy will be focused on the family that you have, the relationships that you are close with and have here on this earth at this time. So to avoid that, those connections might be limited altogether so that you can still love, you can still experience, but it's not a fixated situation. You are able to move around freer. As family and in relationships, you should be able to express and talk about the things that have happened in your life, the part that you have played, the part that others have played, so that you guys can grow and heal together. But I know in our families, and especially in families of color, we harbor a lot of secrets. We continue a lot of generational curses. And so the things that are not dealt with in our families become emotional wounds and emotional scars. And those emotional scars become trauma. And that undealt with trauma becomes disease and viruses and things in our body that cause us to have short, unhealthy lives. We can change that. You can change that. And it can start with you today. You don't have to feel lesser than. And just because you were born in a family that does a certain thing or keeps up a certain way of life does not mean that you have to subscribe to the way that the family is. Yes, you will be talked about. Yes, you will be discarded because certain lower vibrational forces don't want to be uprooted. They have spiritual strongholds that have been in families for years and years and generations, hundreds and hundreds of years. So yes, when you come and you have different thought processes and you don't want to keep secrets and you want to address different things and you want to talk about the elephant in the room and you want to discuss how things have hurt you in your family or how you always felt alone or how the matriarchs or patriarchs in your family did you in a certain way. Of course, those things don't want to be uncovered, but you continue to push forward and do what you need to do for the health of you and your future generations. You create the family that you want to have. And I'll say this is on my heart as well. Those people that have had traumatic lives in their early living and decided to rely on a religion or are born again or have changed their ways, you still have to acknowledge the trauma that you caused and inflicted on others prior to your resurrection. You still have to acknowledge that auntie. You still have to acknowledge that uncle. You still have to acknowledge that mom, dad, sister, brother, friend. You have to acknowledge that. You can't discredit how anyone feels about how you affected their life prior to you getting your life together. You cannot dismiss them and hide under your religion or hide under your recovery or hide under your age. You must allow people to express to you and vent to you and talk to you and allow them to express, to vent and heal. That is owed to them, to be able to release and let you know the parts that you have played in their lives, good, bad, or ugly. And if you are not right now in a reciprocal relationship, friendship, familyship, whatever it is okay for you to discontinue that and work on yourself until you are in alignment with the vibration of those who will love on you and treat you as you treat others, if not better. Release yourself from the thought of thinking that because someone is your blood or because someone is in your family, you have to deal with them and all that comes along with them. Maybe you are the black sheep in your family. Maybe you are the one that is drug addicted, or maybe you are the one that have issues, or maybe you're the one with the quick temper or a borrower and never the lender. Maybe you are that person, but your family should be able able to help you love yourself through a lot of the trauma and a lot of the things that you're going through. You didn't just get to where you are by yourself. You got there through examples and experiences that your family has shown you. You don't get to raise a person any your kind of way and discard of them when they don't align to what you would have them to be. That's not how they were raised. You can't raise a person in being a manipulator, a scammer, a user, and wonder why they always manipulating, scamming, and using you. It doesn't work like that. So in turn, if you are that one that is not always the most positive and you are being shunned for that reason, I pray that you find the solace that you need and the help that you need to recover and get the healing for your trauma so that you can have optimal living. The choice is yours, and I cannot express that enough. If you are feeling sorrowful, if you are feeling down, if you are feeling discouraged because you don't have a lot of people around you, continue to be the person that you want to be around. Continue to be the person that shine light on others. And that way, when people start to come in your life, they can embody what it is that you are, that you bring to the table. I pray that my life partner and my soulmate is someone with a beautiful, healthy family that is loving and considerate and not toxic, so that I can be involved with the family that gets together and that cooks together and loves on each other and hangs out because they like each other, and it's no fight and it's no drama. And if you do have a family like that already, to where you guys are close, you guys can communicate, you guys are not holding secrets, you guys are expressing yourself, you guys are loving on one another, keep that. That is so precious and very rare in this day and age. To celebrate each other, to help elevate each other, to have family businesses, to have family wealth, generational abundance, to work together, to not be jealous of someone's progression, but do it together as a family. A lot of other cultures have this down. A lot of other cultures do not have an issue with working with each other and loving on each other. A lot of other cultures are also toxic, but there are different values and things that they honor to keep their family close no matter what. So if you are blessed to have that in your life, continue that, cultivate that, continue to water that garden so that it can grow bright and strong. I hope this episode was helpful for you, and I hope me just speaking to you about my family and the experience that this woman had on social media was able to help you shed some light on some feelings that you have about your family. We suppress a lot, so it's important for you to allow some of those feelings to come up so that they can be addressed and that you can deal with some of these things that you feel on a regular basis. I encourage you to push forward in positivity and seek relationships with others that are like-minded. Some are in our lives for a moment, some are in our lives for a season, and some are in our lives for a lifetime. And I pray that you understand the stages that you and the people that are in your life are in. I pray that you continue to hold a standard for those in your life, and not only hold them to that standard, but hold yourself to that standard as well. A lot of us want something from others that we are not even giving ourselves. You cannot ask for someone to be extra generous to you if you are not extra generous to yourself, giving to you if you are not giving to yourself, understanding, kind, thoughtful, communicating. If you do not do these things for yourself and others around you. It's very important to not be hypocritical, but reciprocal. And people, quit hiding under your age. There is no right or wrong age to speak about the trauma that you have in your life or the trauma that you have caused in others' lives. You are never too old. You are never too young. You are never too rich. You are never too poor. You are never too holy or religious to speak about things that need to be healed in your family and what you choose to do to move forward to make sure that you are living the best life that you are here to live. Life is too short, and I refuse to have grudges, hatred, strongholds in my heart for family members, for peers, for friends, or anything that will shorten my life here on this earth. Forgive any and everyone that has done anything to me that has caused trauma in my life. I have healed and I am healing. And I ask that you do the same. Anything that I have done to you knowingly or unknowingly that has caused trauma, healing, hurt, abandonment, neglect in your life, ask that you please forgive me. I do acknowledge and know that I am not perfect and will never be, but I do see the error of my ways, and I can admit when I am wrong and I have been wrong. So please, on this podcast, take my apology. I am sincerely sorrowful for any hurt or lasting damage that I may have caused you in our friendship, our relationship, our family. It's never too late for you to do the same with yourself personally and your family as well. I hope that as you listen to this episode, it was freeing to you and it was able to give you vision on what relationships are. And if you do not feel good in your relationships, if they do not help you grow and thrive, then it is okay to rearrange, reaffirm, discontinue relationship that does not bring you light. And as you are doing your work on an everyday basis to live in your truth and live optimally in your best light in life, always remember your mental health is the new wealth.